Settle.
Settle.
Settle, Jenna.
Straighten your bras, ladies. Get ready.
It's still cold in your office, even though we now have a heater.
We don't have the heater on in the house, which is connected to this office. The heater out there that you finally did put in is on, but I just turned it on. So it's not active yet.
Changes. Turn and face the strange.
I am.
You rock and roller.
Har. Hey guys, people, friends, lovelies.
I'm investigating the whole scene.
We're here to make you laugh. We're here to entertain you and distract you from the craziness out there. Because, you know, to deal with things, you kind of need a laugh every now and then. So that's why we're here.
Let's get right to it.
We have important things to discuss.
Yeah. It's pretty important what we're about to discuss.
Yeah.
Because it involves the utter humiliation of myself.
Yeah, it's very important.
And in this one, there was almost an inadvertent equal humiliation of you as I was being humiliated.
Well, I was about to throw down with this one.
I didn't even get what had happened until I saw your glare. Okay.
I don't know if I remember everything that happened.
All right.
Okay, let's walk us through this, because this is very abstract to the listeners.
All right, you guys ready for this? Okay.
How do you start this story?
I'm going to try to figure out... Okay, well, here's what happened.
Should we put the heading, like the title, like when you're going to type, you just put the heading right at the top? Do you want to put the one-word heading? Just to tell them the territory this is going?
Put one-word heading on this, because you may just deny it and make me edit it out. So maybe... I'll tell a story.
Go. I'll sit here and drink coffee.
No, I'll give you a backstory of it, and then maybe you should tell the story, because okay. This
is going nowhere fast. Let's get to it.
I had to give a
semen sample.
A sample.
That's the title of this, is semen.
For the doctor.
Semen and bitches.
For the doctor. Not because we're having any more kids.
God, no.
But just for the usual man stuff that occurs that you do your usual medical testing on.
Yeah.
A sample. Now, I hadn't ever had to do such a thing. So I was given by the doctor or the urologist. You can say that on podcast, the urologist.
Like not a bad word.
Like they send you off with like a cup and they send you home. Because he doesn't get the sample back. He
sends it to the lab.
He gave me the cup.
I almost said spit it out, but I realized that would be a really weird pun to use right now.
You're so much worse. Okay, so he gave me the cup and then a location of where the sample goes.
A lab.
Like a lab. Okay, so and then there was some timing of it whereby...
He said, you got to do it, get the sample, quote unquote, into the cup, and you have to get it to the lab by a certain time frame, because there's a clock ticking on this particular test where the semen has to be brought to the lab.
Stop saying the word.
But semen is a great word.
Okay.
Semen's a fun word to say because you never say it. That's why it's fun to say. Anyway, you had to get it to the lab within a certain time frame.
So we finished up at the urologist. Jenna was with me, and all went great. And then I was sent home to
get
do
a
that.
sample, make a sample, stroke a sample out.
So I had like a much better idea of how I could get a sample, and Jenna was like, "That's not going to work." Okay, so I have to be...
I'm not part of this lab test. You're on your own for this one.
I really wanted Jenna's help on this lab test. Like, I felt like I needed her help on this lab test, and she wanted...
Nothing to do with
it. And also, she said, I can't be a part of this lab test.
I don't want to contaminate your semen.
You don't want to I'm trying to be, like, very gracious, but you were just trucker mouth. She didn't want to contaminate the sample.
It's a medical term.
Okay, so she literally went off on her own to do her business and just have a great time. And I was like, oh, okay, so... But here's what happened. So, first off, it is a highly uncomfortable offering of the sample when it's so clinical into a specimen cup.
Yeah, just a plastic cup. It's like the kind you pee in when you're doing a pee test.
You know what it is? It's like I almost think it's like doing a self-portrait. like you're creating art, but you're looking at yourself at the same time. So you're creating art, and then you're like judging yourself. So you're creating a sample, but still making sure that everything is clinically done correctly.
Right.
It is a highly
sounds awful
dichotomy juxtaposition offering.
Contrary.
Completely contrary.
Yeah.
It was not at all. But it has to be enjoyable to the degree that it has to be enjoyable.
So that you get your sample.
Right. And I not that it's anybody's business, but I don't use any other external visuals. That's not what I am interested in at all. I have no interest in that. So it's just me and myself and me and myself.
And
just clinically offering a sample. And so somehow or another, I was able to offer the sample clinically.
Well done.
Self-portrait. And
that's my boy.
Then what happened is we have the sample, and Jenna's like, all right, good. I have to go get like my hair done, and it happens to be like right next to the lab. So here's what happened. This is a cacophony of fuckery that went on. I dropped you off at the hair salon, and you got out of the car.
And you're gonna go do your errand.
And I'm gonna go run and do the lab. Okay. So I go to the lab, which is only down the block, like a half a mile from where you are getting your hair done.
Yeah.
And as I'm in the car, I pulled up, I realized that you have the fucking keys to the car.
So you can't turn the car off.
Can't turn the car off. Because
the clock's a ticking on getting the sample in.
So
you should just come and got the keys.
So here's what happened. I went in, I had to leave the car idling, and it's like a medical lab, right? It's not like a Starbucks where you can see from the fucking window. It's like in the door, through the door, in the door, through the hallway. So I was like, I can't see my car running. Like, someone could just literally get in my car and drive away. So I kind of was hysterical.
I feel like the kind of people that are at these medical building complexes aren't there to steal your car.
Agreed. But no car is stolen because it's in an area that it's for cars to be stolen in. So, okay, anyway.
Okay, go on.
So I walk in to the lab in a bit of a hurry with my sample, and it's they don't give you like a dark, like a lunch bag for school. Like, they give you like a
clear
Ziploc. So I don't know why I didn't realize all that until
we have a paper bag here at home, many of them.
The whole thing, my mind frame was a little out. And then when I was done with the sampling and I found out that you had to get your hair done, I think we rushed out to get your hair done, and I was in a rush on the sample.
Right. We weren't putting it all together.
Yeah, and really you should have been there for me on all this, on the paper bag, on the location, on the making sure you don't go into your hair appointment with the keys. You really just gave it to me accidentally on this, but that's okay. I'm just blaming you because I was in a highly awkward. It's not your fault at all.
Yeah.
Okay, so I rush with my sample, and the girl behind the counter. You ever been in places where the girls or the guys behind the counter don't want to be rushed? And the minute they sense that there's a rushing going on,
they slow even further down.
It's like that movie, the kids movie, where there's an actual sloth behind the counter, and they move at that.
It's the same thing like when you're in the car and you're rushing and you get a little bit too close behind someone and they sense that you would like them to drive faster, so they start driving half the speed that they were already annoying you at.
Yeah. So
it's like that. So in human form.
I was like, I'm here to drop off. She's like, well, you have to fill out the form on the computer. Like,
she was just a bitch.
Okay, well, hang on.
All right.
So I was like, I can't. And she was like, what? I was like, my car is running. And so I was like, she was like, sorry.
But I think
next, please.
Like, how you handled it,
badly.
Yeah, that didn't help matters because you didn't. You were like Larry David.
Totally. Holding a sample of semen.
Yeah, this is an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm, actually.
So I leave without turning in the sample because she said you have to fill out a form and sign in and make an account with the. None of the stuff the guy at the urologist told me. He said, you just drop it off. He would call it in and you drop it off. Like, he calls in the prescription and the order. Okay. So I then go back into the car with the sample, which I didn't drop off, and pick up Jenna at the hair salon. She's now done. We get in the car, and I was like, I didn't drop off the sample because you had the keys. She's like, oh, okay, so let's go back over there. So we go back over there, We properly park, turn off the car, lock it, and walk in there. Now, she remembers me, the girl behind the counter, because she just saw me and just got annoyed with me. So now she says, fill out the form and make an account. So I'm sitting there with my fucking sample in my hand, and I'm filling out the fucking...
And the clock was ticking. It was actually...
Yeah.
Like, I think you had to turn it in by 4, and it was like 3:52 at this point.
Now, I'm going to let you say the story from this point on. Do you remember how it went?
No, I think you'll have to chime in a little bit, because...
So she...
I just remember in my head, I'm standing there going... Honey, you're getting very feverish with your anxiety and stress, which is only making her move slower and be more annoyed. And then in my head, I'm playing out, she's going to fuck up his sample. She's going to do something with it or lose it, quote unquote, or delay it so that it all goes wrong. You can just feel that coming from her. Like she was supreme.
You can feel that.
Like she gets pleasure out of ruining your day. She was one of those.
What she did is something much worse.
It was way bad.
In the room full of people.
So there's a lot of people in the waiting room. There was a guy who was like 34, and then there was a mom with like an 8 or 9 year old son.
There was a teenager and his mom as well, like full on.
Yeah. He was like 15, 16 with his mom, and then there was like an older woman, sort of 7 seats away.
Okay, so she's
and wait, it's very quiet and everyone's bored, so that means everyone is like bored and they've been waiting a long time.
And the room isn't situated where everyone's
facing the center.
Semicircle around the front desk.
Yeah. So when someone walks in, and they've been there a while, so everyone's bored. So when someone walks in, that's their entertainment.
Sure.
So everyone is just sitting there watching you and listening to your story because there's nothing else to do.
She's now got the sample on her desk. It says semen sample written across it.
Uh-huh.
Right?
You're yelling at me right now.
I'm so emotional about what she did.
Yeah.
So she says, she's got it in front of her. She's like, so what is this for?
What is this a sample of?
Jenna's standing next to me, and Jenna's eyes go wide, and I'm like bumping out of my body because I'm like, what the fuck? And I don't want to say it's in front of you. Actually, I don't know why I didn't just say that. I just said...
Well, you did at a certain point. You had no choice.
I said, it's a semen sample.
And we're just standing there.
Okay. And then the room...
And everyone.
The room just gets really fucking awkward. So she decides to go one step further. She said... When was the sample taken?
And
now I'm blanking on time. So I've got my phone and I'm like, I'm looking at the clock. I'm like, what time is it now? So I've got my phone in my hand. I'm like, okay, what time is it now? So I'm literally having to think, Jenna, when did I go in the bathroom?
When did I go jerk off in the bathroom for my semen sample, hun? When was that?
I actually had to ask her because I was so nervous. I was like, honey, when did and I don't even remember the words I said.
I wanted to like cut up my tongue and saute it. I so didn't want to have to answer that question.
Because I couldn't answer the question. I was too nervous now. So she was
and it's like I'm starting to go, who in this room, they like, when they look a little bit long at me, it means they start to recognize me. So now I'm like seeing some of the moms start to like become aware that it's me because I'm talking. And then every time I talk,
every time you talk, people
voice.
start to recognize you.
And then we're talking about the semen sample, and not just that it's a semen sample, but when was it taken? Which then you can't help as a woman. You're like, oh, when did he jerk off? When was that? Oh, it was like, oh, he jerked off an hour ago.
It's like an hour ago. So I can't remember the time that I did that because I was too nervous.
Like, I think it was around
2:15.
Right after 3 or something. Yeah, whatever it was.
And now I'm like trying to think like, 2:15, 2:45, I don't know, right before 3. And so... And then now Jenna's eyes have a glaze on them, like she has like a death glaze because she wants to kill, but she's being very professional. So she's like, she was like,
I had to take over speaking for you, because you literally got so verklempt.
I lost the power of speech.
You weren't handling yourself at all.
No, I completely was gone.
Yeah.
So you answered the question about what time, and then that was pretty much it.
Then I shoved it under the thing at her because there was like a
no, she already had it in front of her.
plexiglass.
She already had it in front of her because I remember that because. It said
I remember there was
sample.
an effort, though, getting it under the hole to the window. Like she kind of, you would put it down and she looked at it through the plexiglass. But she hadn't taken it yet. And I thought, let me get this thing in her hands. And I remember like shoving it like under the thing so that she could grab it.
God, I wish it had just opened up and spilled on her desk.
And she would have said, "Do you need another cup for another sample?"
Oh my God. So yeah,
That was horrible.
I remember at that point was Jenna just sort of taking my arm in hers and walking me out because I was like, I was very flat-footed and wobbly-kneed.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
It was really awkward.
The whole subject matter is funny or silly because it's just a natural thing. You sometimes need to test fluids of bodies, and one of them is semen, and it's just the fact that it's related to so many other things, and it's such an intimate thing of how it normally is produced, that it's such an intimate thing, and then it becomes a very clinical thing.
But not only was she a bitch, she had no sensitivity. Like, she was a bitch about your needs and the timing of it.
Yeah.
Like, she wasn't like, oh, totally. Okay, it's a timed sample. I totally get it. I'm so sorry. You have to create an account. There's nothing I can do.
Right.
But
She was getting
I'll
off
take
on-
it as soon as you're ready. I'll take it. Like, she wasn't granting you any respect on your test. Do you know what I mean? She was just like someone's daughter who like wanted a summer job but really didn't want to be there, and like just she had no investment of her
so
soul
bad.
in this at all.
You know what really sucks, honey, is I can't like go on Yelp and be like,
Well, you can't. Like, my semen sample was handled very disrespectfully.
She asked what time I gave the semen
right
sample.
in front of everybody.
So yeah, no, there's no Yelp review for.
No Better Business Bureau for semen samples.
No, I just know if I ever have to give another sample, I'll never go back to that lab.
So I had to go to that lab recently.
Oh, you had to go there again?
Yeah, so I was going to do a blood draw, and the doctor, because I do like, regular blood draws just to check all the hormones and all the things. So the doctor I was at was just up the street, and he's like, yeah, you can just go down there right now. And I was like, awesome.
Back to your favorite place.
I'll do it on my way home, but I didn't realize it was the same place. And luckily they were closed. They had just closed, so I missed it. And so then the next day I was like, I'm not going back there.
Right.
So I found another location.
Okay.
I avoided it.
I mean, what a job to have to to put someone in that position where they're mortified. And she had me by the balls, proverbially. So because I had to answer her questions, and I had you just have to fucking you don't want her to taint the sample.
Right.
I could come back
She put some food coloring in there.
Little red food coloring, Mr. Elfman, you're all just, you're fucked. I'm like, what? You've got gonorrhea. It's like,
yeah.
Well,
anyway, so it was no good.
That was the offering, and
but it all turned out great. You're healthy. Everything was normal. It's all fine.
All my bits and pieces work fine.
Yeah.
Which doesn't do much good after 50 when you've already had as many kids as you want to have. But for all the other things that are besides having kids, everything's good. And I don't plan on offering anymore unless absolutely necessary. And if it is ever asked again, I think really the only thing that I'll do is I'll just go into her office and just offer a sample right there.
Just ask her to help you out with it. With me standing there. And I'll just look at her like, he needs help. Can you help him, please?
Oh my God.
I don't do this kind of thing.
No. Mama,
that would be awful.
Mama don't play that. So that's really all I have to say about the sample offering.
Yeah.
I don't have anything
It was
else.
really awkward.
It was a horrible situation.
Yeah, you know what would be fun?
Huh.
This requires some typing on your guys' end who are listening or watching.
Yeah.
If you have any funny stories like this that are embarrassing but funny, medically, or these kind of stories, can you type them up either in the comments on our YouTube or wherever you're comfortable? You can Instagram, whatever. You
Put them all up on YouTube.
Well, no, you don't have
and
to.
we'll post them. No.
But if there's something funny that you'd like to share, I think it would be really funny to read them. Do a podcast where we just read everybody's funny medical stories. We won't say your name. But I think that would be really entertaining.
If you want to on YouTube, type in funny medical stories.
Because a lot of times on YouTube, your username doesn't give you away anyway.
Well, we won't say your username. We'll just...
Well, I mean, they have to type it in the comments, which means people might be able to see it. But
most people really don't. The stuff that we read, the comments I read anyway, shows that most people don't really care about what they say, meaning that they just say it all anyway. People are very friendly and personal with us on YouTube.
Yeah.
Make sure you guys like and subscribe. We love your comments. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Kicking and Screaming, or some of them are
Kicking Elfman.
Kicking Elfman on Instagram and Twitter.
And YouTube is the Jenna Elfman YouTube channel.
Yes, you guys can go on there and see all of Jenna's various projects, and enjoy your samples.
Hands are shot, you can